will start and just by saying hello and welcome everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed their long holiday weekend. If you had a long holiday weekend, the weather was a little bit chilly, but you could tell that there's warmer temperatures on the way. I'm very much looking forward to warmer temperatures. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so done with the cold weather. I want to put winter coats away. I want to put winter shoes away. I want to take out sandals. So I don't know. I think everybody else is on the same page, at least the people that I'm talking to. So I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm sure you'll have some great takeaways. Leah spoke for us once before, and I know that I got a lot of really good feedback, so I brought her back. It's Press the Reset Button is going to be a little bit about all of the, between COVID and the war and all of the stressors that we're under currently. I just wanted to have a little bit of tools to share with you on how to just kind of reset, because everybody needs a reset. I would like to use a reset more than once. I've got 4 kids, so I'm looking to press the reset button all the time. But I think with all the stressors that we've got, now's probably a really good time for Leah to speak again. So I was really glad and fortunate she was able to come back on. So thank you. Well, we've got a applause from Randy. So, of course, I want to thank you in advance in case we actually experience any technical difficulties. I'm hoping give me a thumbs up. I'm in a colleague's office that is hotter than Hades. I have a fan on in the background, but I put the feedback on high. Or not feedback, but the filters. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, perfect. All right, excellent. So fingers crossed there is no technical difficulties, but you never know. This Lunch and Learn will be interactive. There will be time for Q&A at the end. We'll try to get to as many questions as possible, whether you raise your hand or if you put it in the chat box, I will try to, like I said, get to as many as possible. I will give you a quick campus overview, including the lovely Ruth's house where I'm sitting right now. That's where the Lunch and Learns are normally held. And as a matter of fact, the next Lunch and Learn, not next month, but the one after, will be in person. So I know some of you guys from Eastern Mass may or may not be able to get to us. It will be listed on our website. It will actually be under education and Lunch and Learn. So you'll always be able to see what we have actually presented. And next month, we're bringing back our After Dark series, which will be Teenies on the Terrace. It's May 18th. It's going to be 4:30, so it's after dark, even though 4:30 isn't after dark in May, but 4:30 to 6:30, Teenies on the Terrace right here at Ruth's house. So that should be a fun event if you're able to make it. I'll introduce Leah. I will give it a short bio, and then I will introduce a special guest. She will present. We will have a Q&A segment, and then of course I'm going to pick a raffle winner, $25 gift card to Home Goods who couldn't use that. I will have everybody that is present. So anybody that's present is eligible to win, because there was some turmoil before where people stayed on till the end and then I felt bad. So the new rule will be you have to be present to win. A friend of mine who does networking events that does this, Gordon, actually Randy knows Gordon. Actually, a few of you know Gordon. I'm going to go by his rules. You got to be present to win. So we'll have that at the end. But my name, of course, is Marianne Shelb. I am Director of Business Development here on the JGS Life Care campus with sister campuses in the eastern part of the state, which is Chelsea Jewish in Peabody and Duchess Altenheim in West Roxbury. The JGS Life Care campus is truly a hidden gem here in Long Meadow, Mass. And I would like to take this opportunity to show you the campus. So give me a second and I'm going to share my screen again. So yes, and everybody, if you could put your information in the chat, what I'll do is I will actually share any of the information with all the attendees that are on. So, all right, so hold on. You guys can see it? Okay, perfect. So this is our campus of care. Some of you are familiar with it. For those of you who aren't, 23 acres right here on Converse Street in Long Meadow. We have a number of different entities and buildings on the campus, which pretty much cover everything that you could possibly need for elder care, except what Leah has to offer, which I think is a great compliment, and we love working with Perfect Care Match. So if I go from here, hang on, I can't switch. This is our Levitt Family Jewish Home, 24-hour skilled nursing. It's got It's got short-term rehab as well as long-term care, and it's got secure neighborhoods for those curious exit-seeking residents. Oh, we've got somebody in the waiting room. Hang on. Dawson Center for Rehabilitation is the rehab, and it's a greenhouse model of care. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, it's a small house model. It's 2 houses of 12. And if you look at it, you're literally, this family is sitting at a Pottery Barn table. It's got, granite countertops in the back, the pendant lighting. So you've got really a home-like environment. And the small house model and the greenhouse model of care is all about recovering in an atmosphere that is like home, because once you rehab, you're going to go back home. So we want to make sure you're rehabbing in something that looks like home. What do you need to do? Do you need to do laundry? Do you need to cook? Do you need to clean? Do you need to load the dishwasher? Do you need to make a cup of coffee? So it does everything you would normally do at home in this rehabilitation. If you've never seen it, I'd love to be able to have you on the campus and take a look, because it is truly beautiful. Warnock Adult Day Health is one of the first adult day healths that we had in this area. Your loved one safe and cared for in a dynamic setting. It promotes social interaction and stimulation, of course, while either you're running errands or maybe you're working, and you don't have to worry about your loved one because they're well taken care of. We specialize in that higher level of memory loss and cognitive decline. So anybody with a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, that's mostly who we care for. So it's a great little place. And if you've never been there, that's worth a tour as well. Spectrum Home Health and Hospice, of course, is a VNA service that we have right here on the campus. Quality care that comes to you within your own home with a personalized care plan for each patient. Whether it goes all the way up to hospice care. So it could be somebody either in the assisted living, at home, in the community, or even in the nursing home. We have palliative care as well as hospice care. So two different cares, as well as the VNA service, speech, nursing. You've got PT and OT as well. And then Genesis House is our independent living. It's a low-income independent living right in Longmeadow. You could tell by the grounds, and the answer is no, it does not look like a low-income property. And our apartments inside are just as nice as the outside landscaping. So it's really nice, and because it's so nice, it's got about a 3-year wait list. So that's one thing I don't have to market too much of, because people really want to get in. So like I said, about a 3-year wait list, but it is beautiful. I even sent an application to my sister. She wants to move closer to myself and my other sister who just moved closer. And I said, you know what? It would be great for your retirement, and then you're on the campus, because they have access to our full campus of care as well. Everybody on the campus will get priority. If you're in the assisted living, we have 1 bed left in rehab. Our assisted living resident will get preference than somebody coming in from the hospital. So it's nice because once you're here, you stay on the campus and you can age right in place. Of course, Ruth's House Assisted Living, we're set back away from the main street with a very private and wooded backdrop. We've got the waterfall on our garden level. We really want to encourage outdoor time and space. So we have many decks and patios, including this waterfall is on the garden level, which is our secure neighborhood for those exit-seeking, curious residents that we have. But we want it to be like a park-like environment. The front and the sides and the other decks and patios are also gorgeous. So we wanted the folks that are here on a secure neighborhood to feel like a park-like environment as well. So if you've ever come to Ruth's house and seen it, it is truly beautiful. So with that said, let me stop sharing. Hang on. All right, so now I have everybody back. Let me just make sure I don't have anybody in the waiting room. Hold on. I don't think so. Nope. All right. So what I'd like to do now, normally I know that, let me see. I know that Christina usually does a tour, but because I want to give Leah some time to discuss what she's got going on, because I think literally we need to press the reset button. I want to say that Leah is a woman of many talents. Her resume is too broad to list all of it, but I wanted to mention a few things. Apparently, she's not busy enough as the CEO and founder of Perfect Care Match, holistic senior home care agency in Eastern Mass, which she now happily employs my better half, Mr. John Jay. People fondly refer to him as, who's also on the call. He just gave a wave. And Jay is Leah's Western Mass Division manager. So folks that are in the Western Mass part of the state. Jay would be your contact for Perfect Care Match. We've actually used them here on our campus. We're very happy with the services, and I know that staffing is an issue, and staffing seems to be good at Perfect Care Match, so that actually helps us a lot. Now, not only is she the CEO, but she is also a certified dementia practitioner by the National Council of Certified Dementia Practitioners, board certified holistic health practitioner, certified hypnotherapist by the International Neurolinguistic Programming Association, certified by the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, certified Chopra instructor specializing in Ayurveda trained under Deepak Chopra himself, as well as Dr. Now Leah, the pronunciation, Suhas.
Well, yeah, we just call him Dr. Suhas. That's the best way to refer to him.
Dr. Suhas, world-renowned Ayurvedic physician, and Dr. Sheila Patel, medical director of the Chopra Center. She also has studied under the world's top Ayurvedic experts. So again, very impressive resume. And now I will turn it over to Leah for press the reset button. And we're very much looking forward to this. And if everybody could just mute themselves and just remember to put anything in the chat that you want to ask and or your information. But Leah, floor is yours.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. I actually see some faces that I believe were on the last presentation, and then people that I've known for a long time as well. Hi, Randy and Jane. So I think that it's, an opportunity for us to all just take a pause in our daily lives that are so crazy right now. I mean, the way that things are going with humanity between the COVID situation, we can all relate to the traumas and things that happened to all of us individually. Myself, I had COVID last May. I was hospitalized. So, even though I'm very focused on health and well-being, I did go down that rabbit hole, and it was scary. I can't stress enough how important self-care is at this point in the game for all of us. You have this whole thing that's bombarding us now currently, that's such a negative energy going on in the Ukraine. And I just pray every day. I just, pray that it ends and that people come to their senses. But, we're kind of powerless, right? And we just don't know what the next step is. And not only that, we have lots of things going on in our own country. So there's so many things coming our way. We all know about this. How do we manage it? How do we press that reset button? Because we are being affected, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, but our response is what's important to this. This is how we respond individually to ourselves and how we handle it in a way that's productive. So I'm going to show you some ways to do that. We're going to get a little bit educational, though, at this point. I'm going to share my screen. And let me see. Did I share it? Can you guys see that? Yes. Okay. I'm clicking buttons and I'm not putting it on the right slide. So bear with me for just a moment. Okay. So I've got this really great presentation that I'm going to start from the beginning. As Marianne said, we're partnering up. John and I are working together very closely. Her better half, as she refers to him, and I have to agree, he's awesome. And so he's come on board and really, helping everybody out there understand who we are and what we do. I'm an educator of holistic practices, but I also am very involved in the elder care world. And, I think it's so important. My mission is touching families, right? I'm touching families by helping the senior, but I'm not only going in just helping the senior. I'm a lot of times working with the whole family unit, trying to provide resources, but also giving them ways to manage the stress of their own personal dilemma that they're dealing with. And that's the care of the parent or the relative, the loved one that they're concerned about. So, our mission is all about that. We are about looking at the individual's needs and supporting them at home or working with whatever facility they're in, assisted living, and supporting them in a way that makes sense for them. And we also do both hourly and live-in care. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because John can be your go-to to find out more. Okay. But right now I want to tell you guys about, how stress management actually equals emotional freedom. And right now it's kind of fuzzy, right? It's hard to see that vision because of everything that we've had thrown at us. But, it is important to realize that it is attainable. Sorry, I went ahead a second. Ayurveda, which is over 5 to 10, they're not sure if it's 5,000 years old or about 10,000 years old, but it's a pretty old system that a lot of our medicine today is based on. But it recognizes that emotional balance is one of the fundamentals, of good health. And it's not merely, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this out of the way and see the line. It's not merely like the absence of disease. It is a state of being. So when we look at being in good health, it's not just about our report card from the doctor or things like that. It's how it is on a daily basis. It's how our thoughts and our emotions are. This is what creates either the gold mine of really good health and having joy and happiness, or it can really cultivate the illness within and bring out more sickness. So it's something we've got to be mindful of and in check about. And we all desire the need to be happy, right? And it's not something that we can be in a state of all the time. People are like, oh, if I get this, I'll be happy. Or if this happens, I'll be happy. It's not really coming from an external source. So when we identify ourselves as happiness with objects outside of ourselves, it's known as object referral. And it really, we see people that are movie stars and wealthy people, and they're accumulating all this stuff and trying to pull in happiness from the outside. And it really isn't about that. When we look at the opposite of object referral, it's called self-referral. And when we identify with our inner selves in the internal state of well-being, and it doesn't depend on the external circumstances. So even although all of this stuff with COVID and the Ukraine and all of the stressors that we have day to day, the economy and all of that, we can still find that sense of peace. It's a matter of how do you respond. So true joy is an internal state of awareness that allows us to be happy for no reason. Okay. And sometimes we're like, well, I don't feel happy. I feel just blah. I'm like, okay, everything's okay. Well, we can't be that joyful, jumping around, dancing state of being all the time, right? But if we're feeling generally happy, then that's a pretty good indicator that you have a good handle on self-referral and working on that internal state of well-being. When you're out of balance, you start to see things crop up like shortness of temper. I turn to chocolate. There's other things that people turn to. When I'm out of balance, I know I'm eating chocolate, I'm looking at sweets, that sort of thing. So I have to step back and say, okay, what are some techniques and things that I've got to employ right now to get myself back in balance? Our essential nature, as it says here, is pure, unbounded consciousness with infinite possibilities. Like there's so many ways to get yourself back in check and in balance and finding that happy place. There's just so many ways that each of us individually have our own formula, but there's also some great guidelines to go by based on what Ayurveda presents. You have to look at your life and see, are you getting these fundamental human needs? Are you having enough attention from your loved ones? Is there enough affection in your life? These are things that come, from the outside that we perceive as, what we need in our lives to feel that balance sometimes. So acceptance, appreciation, these are important. So one of the things that can come from the outside is, who is your baseline? Who is your group that you're hanging around with? And if you don't have that fundamental need met with, they're paying attention, they're listening. You have people that are listening to you in your life. They show you appreciation and affection, and they accept you for who you are, and they appreciate, if you don't have that in your friend group or your family, then you need to look at how you can meet that for yourself. It's, we can do that for ourselves and start kind of evaluating who are kind of the energy vampire type people in your life? Who should you have around you? What words do people speak around you? And kind of say, not drop them, but just kind of turn to the people that you're finding these fundamental human needs are being met with, and move in that direction. So emotions are derived from our perception of needs being met or not met. So those fundamental needs, they're very, very important, and they drive our emotions. So it kind of activates everything that we're about and who we present ourselves out into the world, how we present ourselves. I'm sorry, I went backwards. So, and I'm going backwards again. There we go. I'm having technological difficulties today. It's one of those days. So emotions are energy in motion, okay? And we feel them as sensations in our body. So that's really important to be in tune with that. And I gave the pranayama breath work. I gave the dosha test. Those are things that really aren't handouts for this moment in time. They're kind of handouts for you guys to take a look at and utilize after this presentation. And then you can always get in touch with me or do more research on your own. But knowing your dosha is going to be very helpful in how you can work towards handling your emotions too. 2 core emotions are comfort. So encompasses all the feelings that move us from constriction to expansion. Okay, and that's really important to remember. If we're constricting, a physical thing happens, we're tightening up, we're just, our muscles and every cell starts to tighten. When we're in expansion, and that's why yoga is very important. It releases the constriction, it releases the energy that maybe we're harboring that isn't so positive. So going from constriction to expansion is really important. And it includes being joyful, being at peace, feeling love for, nature, or it doesn't have to be romantic love, but it could be. Feeling pleasure, delight, and gratitude, all very important to feel that comfort. And of course, discomfort is the opposite of that. It includes all the feelings that constrict us. So distress, frustration, anger, regret, fear, pain, sadness. And the secondary emotions based on unmet needs, if not resolved, they often lead to anxiety, hostility, guilt, and depression. So you see the doshas. I did the doshas last time I was on. I went over it in depth. So I don't know if some of you remember, but the Vata dosha is the dosha that relates to the anxiety. The Pitta dosha relates to the hostility, and the Kapha is really kind of the one that withdraws and feels like guilt or depression. So you can see it right there. If you have those, if you get angry, you get hot. I'm sometimes like that. I'm actually Vata Pitta dosha. I'm a bidoshic. So there's, people that can have 2 of the doshas. Usually it's 2 or 1. So that's me. I get anxiety and I get like hot. I'm like, oh, we got to get this done. So I know when I'm freaking out like that, I can have to look at, okay, what are my emotions based on? What am I feeling discomfort about? Feelings are not experienced, that are not fully experienced, can accumulate as emotional toxins. And in Ayurveda, we call that emotional ama. And the way that they show themselves as, presenting physically is you might have like coating on your tongue because your body's producing these, negative endorphins that are causing you the toxins. You may have a headache. You may not sleep well. You may feel like you're having that shallow breathing. You may have exhaustion. So these are all what we call emotional toxins, emotional ama. And you should get a hold of that because you don't want to see it go down towards getting more developed and experiencing health issues. Okay. Why is my thing pausing? There we go. We can either react to unmet needs, which is instinctual, conditioned and learned behavior, or we can respond, which implies we're being aware and having a choice, because we do. We have choices when we react to our stressors. And, it's like I said in the initial phase of this presentation, it's how we respond, it's how we react. And that's where you need to understand what you're doing in your life and what's affecting you. If you're responding in positive ways, if you're taking the time to lower your blood pressure, breathing, meditating, you're on the right track. So all the doshas can experience every kind of emotion. All right. So even though you're a vata or a kapha, you may get angry sometimes, right? But each dosha has more of a tendency to react to unmet needs in different ways. They have that, way that was kind of introduced with the depression and the anxiety and the hostility. So vatas, it's right here. Vata has a tendency to react with feelings, anxiety, fear, worry. What did I do wrong? They're always the ones pointing at themselves saying, it must be me. I did something wrong. And they're, how do I make it better? The pitta is saying, what did you do wrong? They're the ones that are prone to blame others and say things like that. They, get upset before they even think. They're already saying, what did you do wrong? So pittas can be tough to deal with. Kaphas, they have a tendency to become sad and discouraged, and they ignore the situations and say, I don't want to deal with it. And they just kind of disappear. I'm going to get a coffee. I'm just going to go in my office and I'm not going to talk to anybody. So there are 7 biological responses that happen when we're having a stressful situation: the fight or flight, the reactive, the restful awareness. This is where it gets like we got to work on ourselves to get to restful awareness, because the first 2 is typically where we're at: the intuitive, the creative, the visionary, and the sacred. Okay, so that's the 7 biological responses that are the path to actually having the best responses to our situations. And so you can see here with flight or fright, it's primitive. We've heard of that. Everybody, I think, probably has heard of this. It's based on fear and the perception that something's coming at us. There's something threatening, and there's acute stress. And you can see there's actual things that happen to our bodies. Your saliva, it decreases. We've got the blood vessels constricting. We have sweating and chills. Our heart is beating faster. The stomach is putting out more enzymes. The muscles become tense. Our eyes dilate. Our lungs are doing the shallow breathing, and even food movement slows down. So imagine if you're, going through this all the time. Like, I can't imagine with some folks that are in the Ukraine right now are experiencing on a daily basis. This is their life. I've often wondered about that, how it must really wreak havoc on people to be in conditions like that on their health. The reactive ego response. We have the psychological equivalent of flight or fright. We have the attempt to control the environment through reactivity. We have emotions in a domain of the ego when we perceive that boundaries are crossed and needs are not met. So we have those uncomfortable feelings generated and we react to them. And most of us only get here. Like I was saying, this is kind of where a lot of people are, because you see road rage, you see anger, you see, people say, I just can't deal with this, and they walk away and they don't process things in ways that could be more productive. And, you guys are here today. So you either are on the path to getting further than this level of a response, or you want to, and that's wonderful. We can move from that constricted state to being more expanded and achieve happiness. We can do this. And so, some defense responses to perceived threat. The flight it kind of correlates with the vata dosha, if you recall that. And those qualities are avoidance, anxiety, and fear. And the fight, irritability, loss of temper, defensiveness, pitta. Freeze, they freeze, that's a kapha. They're numbing, they're detached, they give up easily. So these are all qualities. If you kind of see that that's your go-to when something, traumatic or stressful happens, then these are the things you want to study. You want to study what foods or what music or what essential oils will help you if you are a vata. You're seeing the qualities, you're kind of self-identifying. Yes, I do just kind of like feel that way. Maybe I should look at what kinds of things. Maybe I'm drinking too much coffee that's making me feel anxious and stressed out. Maybe I need to try some pranayama breath work. That could slow things down because the shallow breathing comes along with anxiety. Those kinds of things are the way that you want to start managing these responses. So another thing we can do for ourselves, no matter what dosha you are, and there's so much data and studies that have gone on in the past, I would say 15 years regarding meditation. And I teach a meditation class. I think, Marianne, you have in the past as well. So it's so important for us to kind of all go to this, no matter what dosha you are, for brain health, for overall body health and wellness, and just to get a handle on what is really going on. It's kind of that old adage of take 10 seconds, like count to 10 before you say something. Actually, you should take 10 minutes and go in another room and take some breaths and just connect. And you would come out of that room probably having a totally different viewpoint and perception on your reality than before you went in. So that's why a restful awareness response is really, it's really a great way to resolve the physical aspects that we are challenged with the heart rate, the blood pressure. You saw that, the diagram I just showed you, all the physical things that are affected when we're stressed out. And look at that anti-aging. I mean, all of us that are midlife and want to slow that down. I wish I could have done something with my hair, because now I'm gray and I had to dye it blonde. I don't know what happened there. I've meditated so much. I was hoping I would keep my brown hair. Not happening. So the body relaxes when you take deep breaths, when you start to go into a meditative state, which is called the alpha brainwave state. We get an internal reference shift from ego to spirit. In the morning, sometime I can wake up and see 10 different issues going on. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be a crazy day. I'll get in the shower. And, I start my meditation there because it's my time, and that's kind of where I start my meditative, restful awareness response. And things just start coming in. It's like wonderful, the things that come in when I'm showering. And I also have like a ritual where I'm just visualizing, okay, I'm in the shower, and not just physically am I getting clean, but I'm getting energetically cleaned. Like I just see this water is so beautiful and healing, and it's just going over me. But water is life, so when you have that surrounding you and going across your body and just traveling all around, it's a time to really honor who we are and what we are, because the connection to water really just brings relaxation if it's the right temperature, of course. So having that moment in the shower, if, like you say, I don't have time for meditation, just do some deep breathing. Don't, put your face in the water and deep breathe, but do some deep breathing as you're like facing away from the water, and just honor that moment that you're being washed by this beautiful energy. And that's where your day can start, with the heart rate goes down, the blood pressure goes down, the respiration, the perspiration, you're washing anyway. So it's a way to start your day if you don't have the time to start it, with a 20-minute meditation or that sort of thing. And then you come out of the shower with some ideas. I always find I have positive ideas. I might go into the shower, as I said, with a lot of negative thoughts going, oh my God, how am I going to start this day? I got to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm stressed out, right? But you take that moment, you say, I'm honoring this. I'm not going to bring all that stress in. I'm going to bring the deep breathing, the relaxation, the beauty of the water, and the feeling it brings me. And you connect. And it's like you come out of the shower with a fresh new set of ideas for the day. Okay, so, this intuitive response, it's more intuitive when you're getting in touch with your restful awareness. It becomes intuitive. You start to kind of, and it's not the woo-woo stuff we're talking about. We just start to perceive things in a more peaceful way that is not so stress related. When you're doing this restful awareness, you're becoming aware of other things that maybe you wouldn't have seen before. So you're choosing that observation, you're becoming the observer, and you're actually becoming very authentic about it. You're not out of the vata energy, which could be, oh, I'm having this anxiety attack and I can't think straight, or the pitta, anger, like, I just can't handle all of the stress. I just, everybody around me is making mistakes, and I just can't handle it. You choose a more conscious observation that is more, okay, how do we deal with this? I had time to calm down about it, and I'm looking at the situation differently. And then, you present this awareness in our daily lives. It starts to be part of your communication. It becomes part of your vocabulary. I can oscillate between my vata pitta and my authentic self quite frequently in a period of a day. And if I see myself doing that, then I know that I need more nature. I know that I need more time to just step back, take a deep breath, and look at it from that perspective of restful awareness. The creative response is interesting because you start to find that these stressful situations actually are opportunities to make incredible changes for improvement, so it's like, okay, well, this horrible thing did happen, and it's kind of great because we now see that there's some errors here, and we've got to work through it. We've got to make some changes, there's a lot to it. I'm so impressed, to be honest with you, even though we still have COVID going on, that as humanity has gone through COVID, we got to be kind of proud of ourselves, because even though we lost a lot of people, there was this huge humanitarian effort where things changed drastically. Think about like the plague and other types of situations. So many more lives were lost. There wasn't, collaboration. There wasn't all of these scientists all over the world coming together and people just providing support everywhere. That particular situation with COVID, I feel like, yes, a lot of people are probably going through post-traumatic stress disorder in the medical field, and that's really hard. And so, we can do all we can to help them. But, I do hear a lot of inspirational stories. I feel that we have just, as humans, we've emerged from it. Yes, we have different variants coming our way, but we've really come a long way in being able to combat an illness like that. We went from people dying drastically to now we have people back in assisted living. Nobody's getting that sick. They're getting sick, but not as sick. There's a lot of positive that we can look to where we were 2 years ago and where we are. And I think that, it's kind of, there's a lot of politics involved, and there's this mask wearing and all of this. And it's like, we get so focused on that, but we really need to focus on the growth that has happened too. So, that's what a creative response could be. It's kind of, okay, well, how do we take this and make it even better? How do we make sure that we see the gaps that we had and shore up and not have something happen as drastically again? And what did we do right? What happened right? I think science came together with a lot of effort, and we really just changed it very quickly. There was so much information being passed back and forth. I had the great fortune to, I can't remember his name, but my daughter had a professor that she was going to UMass Dartmouth at the time, and she was in my kitchen and she was watching her, her Zoom meetings for class. And I was so lucky because I would be in the office like right near her, and I'd be able to hear her classes. And this was one of the CNN go-tos for infection disease. He was immunologist, and I can't remember his name. He actually lives in Westport, but at the time of the height of the COVID, he was teaching these classes, and she was in his class, and it was just so cool, the things that he was sharing. So it made me feel like we're really making some headway in figuring these kinds of diseases out. So back to our slide, there's solutions that emerge by quieting down the inner dialogue. If we're so caught up in the emotion of things that are in our doshas that, we can kind of identify the anxiety, the anger, the depression, we need to step back and say, okay, well, there's opportunity for creativity. And there's, these moments that I've got to go to expansion instead of constriction. And how I do that is by getting quiet, by using deep breathing, by meditating. I mean, breath is so much part of our health and life. It's amazing. Like breath work is really essential for everyone. We think about breathing, we take it for granted, but the way we can breathe, I gave you guys a handout on pranayama. And so there's different styles of breathing that you can use for different purposes. You guys can look at that. You can go online and find videos, the alternate nostril breathing. There's amazing things that happen with that. It is medicine to stop all of these things that we're talking about. It can bring you out of depression. It can actually slow down your heart rate. It can bring you feelings of relaxation right away because it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So, breathing is really critical to monitor for yourself and see what is your breathing? What are you doing? Are you shallow breathing? Are you over breathing? Like what is happening with your breath work? And look at the ancient ways of pranayama to see how you can manage these types of emotions that crop up. And then, what are your 7 steps for awakening the creative response? Well, you set an intention, like, okay, you're learning about this today. Maybe I do, have shallow breathing. I know that's like something I do. I catch myself doing that. I have anxiety. Then you start looking around. You're learning a little bit from me today. We could dive deeper if you wanted to get in touch with me. You also can do a lot of online searching. There's yoga classes out there that help with awakening the creative response. There's that incubation period where, okay, you're not an expert. You're just learning. You're wetting your feet with things. And then there's the insight that comes and the inspiration. And then you want to bring it into your life completely, and have it be, throughout every part of your life. You're living it. You're living your authentic self. You're in this creative response. So that was just an example, breath work and how it can help you. And here we are setting an intention today. I'm hoping that helps you folks learn more about how important it is to honor that airflow that comes back and forth within and out us, Okay, a visionary response. We're living from the collective soul. Like, I feel like there's a really disjointed situation right now in humanity with what's going on. It's kind of like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain about wrapping it around how all these folks are in this horrible situation. But what is the vision of what is possible? I'm not sure. I'm trying to attain that. I mean, I guess I bring that up because I think it's on all of our minds. It has been for the last month. But, I had the fortunate opportunity to go to California back in March. And, I was kind of withdrawn from news and everything else. And I was able to go to the Avenue of the Giants and see these incredibly huge trees that, like, there was a tree there that I have it on my Facebook page. I was standing inside the tree because with trees, they sometimes have to burn them to keep them alive. So they took this tree that was just on the side of the road. These trees are over 2,000 years old, and they burnt the inside of it. And you're standing inside the tree. And maybe I'll send a picture to you, Marianne. You can add it to your email to everybody. But it's like a room in there, and here's this greatness of this tree that it's, provides so much oxygen. It's like probably a mother tree, just beautiful. And I'm like, this tree is so solid. I mean, I meditated in it. I was having a good time in that tree. I could have had a party. I could have invited you all in there and we would have had a nice meditation. I just was so impressed with that experience. And it was beautiful, really. I really enjoyed that. But it wasn't just that tree. I was surrounded by tons of trees that were like that. And it's like the beauty that's available to us on this earth and how it can just put you in awe. I got to go to Yosemite. I went to the ocean. Like, we spent 12 days out there and I just did everything I could in Northern California. I mean, I love the East Coast. It's beautiful, but there was so many unique things out there that it just was inspiring. So, to get in touch with nature like that, it kind of like pulled me out of the tar that we're kind of in, that's coming at us, all this negative energy. It feels heavy, I guess. and just take those moments that you can to find those spaces in your life. You know, you don't have to go to California, but I ended up going there and it was like quite refreshing. I can go down the street and go to the beach locally too and feel a lot of the same feelings. You know, I can probably just sit in my backyard and also connect. But that's what you guys need to understand, that this medicine for our souls is always there. And the more we do this for ourselves and we share with that, you start to kind of surround yourself with people that are of this way, and you go into the yoga classes, finding those groups that are working from this visionary response. I'm not saying you become part of a group, but going to different things that call to your soul or looking online. This is important for your growth and your well-being. I mean, coming here today, it's just, one of those moments where maybe it's tapping into that within you, that visionary response that is available to you at all times. So, I like to talk about that in a way that makes sense, instead of, bringing it into like, there's a lot of ritual type stuff and different things people can do. I mean, Marianne and I are both Reiki masters. There's all kind of things that you can explore. The hypnotherapy, it's that can be very inspiring too, because you get that those aspects implanted in your subconsciousness, that maybe you can't get past what you're seeing in your consciousness. Sometimes during your day, you just can't get past it. But if we get you into that alpha brainwave state, it's your brain's more open to the suggestive thoughts that we can plant in there. And, there's a lot to say about sacred response. So when we look at this, when we look at all of these pieces that I just presented to you, and you start looking at what is our sacred response? Well, it's about all of us being in a state of love, okay, and compassion. And when we get to that state, when we can look at every situation in our lives with compassion, it tends to turn everything around. And I wish that everybody would, decide to do this, but everybody's not there yet. So we just have to do it for ourselves, and then transcend from what's in it for me. Like, that's what's so disheartening about, the whole thing that's happening in the Ukraine. It's what's in it for Russia. They're trying to just acquire more power and resources, but, not saying anything about how can I be of service? Like, they could have gone about this a whole different way. Work with the Ukraine and see how they could complement. Instead, we're here. And I use that just as an example because it's quite obvious. It's like, wow, there's just a really discord thing going on that's not serving humanity. But as a wave is to the ocean, each of us is to spirit. Okay. So, it's talking about the greater sacred response. It's talking about the greater power, if you have a belief in such. I'm a believer that there's something greater. I did have a near-death experience. I think I shared that with you guys last time. And, the love consciousness I felt, and it was real to me. So that wave of in the ocean, each of us is to spirit. So how are we going to be that wave? Are we going to be that wave of positivity, or are we going to allow our stressors and our, responses to be that hostile way? I mean, that's what we have to ask ourselves. So when you're thinking about that, we all could do some work on ourselves, right? At any moment, even if you are using a sacred response, like, how can we do better at it? How can we help others kind of calm down and acclimate to that restful awareness first, right? Like, just, hey, let's take a deep breath. Let's not feed the energy of negativity and make things more stressful. So we can be the change, I guess, so to speak. So conscious communication, this is really important. We sometimes say words and we don't realize how violent other people perceive that as. And so it can really affect people. And there's a great book, I might have it here in my office. I'm not sure, but it's at the bottom, based on the work of Marshall Rosenberg, nonviolent communication. So, we want to look at what happened when we state facts. What is, when we're looking at consciously communicating, we want to really look at what happened and state facts only. State, okay, well, the cup of water spilled, and what am I feeling? Describe how you feel. Choose those words. Well, it's kind of getting in my way. I had to go out the door. Now I got to clean up this water, right? And you're like, it's the last thing you want to do when you're rushing out the door trying to grab all your stuff. I'm just, this is a scenario I'm trying to describe. And you don't want to say, oh, it messed up my day. The whole thing was a mess. I'm really upset about it. Like, these are things that you have to just stay away from, but you acknowledge the feelings. You say, oh, it's kind of upsetting because it's going to delay my start of my day. So what do I need that I'm not receiving? Well, I need to get out the door. I had things I had to do. This cup of water was in the way. Somebody left it there, and now I'm going to be late. So what am I asking for? Make your request with a level of respect. Well, next time I would say to my daughter, can you guys see my screen? Because I hit a button and I think it did something weird. There we go. Am I good? Okay. Next time I might say to my daughter, please don't put that cup of water right on the counter there, because I threw my purse down and I didn't see it and it went everywhere. And so what is the gift or opportunity in the situation? Observe what you benefited from the practice. So, I'm using this cup of water and spilling it, and kind of, could happen to any of us. But what is the gift? Well, maybe I didn't make myself a victim in it. Like, I spilled this cup of water and now, my presentation is ruined and I couldn't get things done today and it's all your fault. Or, gosh, I'm so stupid. Everything I do, I always make a mess. You see, this is like reactions we could have, right? We probably have said these things about ourselves or others. But this is violent communication, whether it's violent at yourself or violent at the person. This is violent communication, which brings about stress. So your words, the way you're communicating, how you're processing different scenarios is really important. So there's a words list, and I can send this out to you guys. When our needs are being met, we feel, these words are really great. I'm joyful. I'm loving. I feel quiet today. I feel secure. I'm so thankful, right? These are good words. When our needs are not being met, I'm afraid, I'm anxious, I feel lonely, I'm unhappy today, I feel helpless. Or words that encourage victimization. I was cheated out of this situation. I was neglected. I just don't feel appreciated. I'm unwanted and unappreciated. I really, I'm feeling manipulated. Well, when you're using those words about yourself, you're actually creating that response of stress. Okay. We're not in denial that these things can happen, but maybe we just need to go into restful awareness and think about these words that could be labeling how we're feeling, and not allow it to bring up all of the constriction that could happen. So you just, you can you can journal about this stuff. That there's that great article that I put in to the handouts, the 7 Simple Ways to De-Stress by Dr. Sheila Patel. She's amazing. I met her out in California a couple of years ago, and she runs the Deepak Chopra Center. She's the medical director. But, she's talking about meditation, breathing, walking, sleeping. So important. Reducing excessive stimulation, do less and be more, and journal. So there's a whole article that was included in the handout for you guys as well. But words, how we label our situations, maybe stepping back and not taking things so seriously and labeling it with such negativity could lower your stress, because when you say these words, even just looking and reading and saying them myself right now, I start to feel a little bit like, oh gosh, I think I remember a situation like that. Oh yeah, bad energy, and then you start to feel the emotions start. So like it's important to monitor how you're labeling your situations. And that book there, like I said, is really great, Nonviolent Communication. 7 Steps to Emotional Clearing. Take responsibility for what you're feeling. How are you labeling it? Because if you're labeling it with a lot of negativity, you're going to create negativity within you. So maybe, taking that step back and being in the quiet space before you label something so you can come out of it in a different perspective. Maybe we'll all start taking a lot of showers, right? Like I said, the showers are really a great place for me. I do advise it. It's very healing. Identify the emotion. Like, what are the emotions that are coming to you? Is it anger? Is it depression? Like, get in touch with that emotion so that you can know how to clear it out of the way. And witnessing the feeling in your body. Do you feel like you were punched in the gut? Are you getting an intense headache? Are you shallow breathing? All of these things. Like, okay, what do I need to work on? If this is my response, I need to work on some of these things. And there's our medicine of pranayama breath work, or maybe just, taking a moment to meditate, being in nature. These are the things that will heal in a natural way. Express the emotion in private yourself. Sometimes you just feel that built up, pent up energy, and maybe you need to go outside and, get away from everybody and just like sing a song, but belt it out, like put on one of your favorite songs that you get loud and you just belt it out. And that can get some of the energy out that you need to get out. Release the emotion through a ritual. I love writing things down on paper. And I do it in red and like something that I want to transform or transmute. And I'll write it on, a piece of paper in red. And I'll say, like, I am releasing this emotion to the universe and it's going to come back in love and healing or something corny like that. And I will burn it and I will put it into the dirt on, outside, ashes to the dirt and release it. And it's a ritual, and it's not, I'm not trying to do any voodoo or anything. I'm just using nature to kind of release the emotion. And so you can do that, or I just sometimes go and hug a big tree. I have this tree. I swear it's grown a lot since I started hugging it about 20 years ago. I think the hugs really help it. It's in the middle of my field that I have, and I love this tree. And I just will go out and I'll just hug it and I'll just say, thank you for all the wisdom and energy and life you're bringing to this planet. Thank you. And just that ritual of going out there and doing that when I'm having a bad day, it's like I bring so much positivity. I just feel like, hey, I'm feeling good. This is a good thing, So doing those little things for yourself. You don't have to tell anybody like I do. You don't have to broadcast it to the world of what you do. But, I'm trying to help everybody be creative in their response and get creative in the way you feel would benefit you. Share the emotion with a good listener. Okay. Like that goes back to that circle of people you have around you. If you have people that are always dumping out their stuff and it's like those negative words that I just showed you, that's going to attach to you at some point. And maybe you're the best listener in the world, but maybe you can share with them the list of words and say, hey, can we look at these other words? Maybe there's some words here that you should kind of like take from your vocabulary and not use them so much about your situation. Let's look at using these positive words so we create a more positive energy. And rejuvenate with celebration. Summer's coming and there's lots of opportunity to celebrate. But, even just, I don't know, we have a thing in my house. If we don't go for a walk, we dance. Okay. It's our latest thing we've been doing for the last 6 months. This whole thing about walking and movement when we're working in an office, it's hard. So, every day, if we don't get out in the morning, if we don't get out at night, like it's actually me. I'm the one that's the office worker. My significant other is out working and he's always, moving. So it's not him, but he helps me with this because, I said I need to make a difference with my movement. And, we just celebrate, we dance. And, people probably think we're crazy if they saw us in the kitchen dancing the way we are, blasting the Alexa. But that's our celebration of the day. We just dance around like wild hyenas. I don't know. It's fun. We have a good time and, we always laugh about it. So if you can't walk and enjoy nature outside, a good dance is something that I do. I'm an admitted dancer in the kitchen. Pranayama for emotional release. We talked about that a couple times now, and it activates the body's parasympathetic nervous system. It governs the rest and digestive response. It's so connected, like breathing is so connected in our body and how our body is healthy or not. So, it's something to take a serious look at, and then trying some of these different practices would be wonderful too. The slow rhythmic belly breathing, you're holding your belly. You can't see me very good because I am touching my belly, but just breathing and letting the Buddha belly expand and then exhaling slowly. It's being very mindful and taking those moments to do that. Very healing. The complete breath where you're doing the count in and you're holding it and you count the equal amount out, and it's just a complete breath. You're having that rhythmic breathing. The Nadi Shodhana, it's the alternate nostril breathing. As I said, you're activating different hemispheres in the brain. You're clearing your lungs. It's, you don't want to do it when you have a cold, but it's an amazing effect that it has. I used to have a lot of anxiety when I was younger. My mother had a lot of anxiety. It translated onto me. And this has been one of the greatest go-tos, one of the greatest tools in my toolbox is alternate nostril breathing. It's really changed the way that I have response to different anxiety provoking situations. And the Ujjayi breathing too is really, it's a little unique and you have to know how to do it. It takes a lot of practice, but it can be done. And it does give you a lot of relaxation once you get through learning the different ways to handle it. And the Bhakstrika, I haven't done that too often, and the other one as well. I haven't done them a whole lot. My go-to is the complete breath and the Nadi Shodhana. I really, appreciate those two for my own self, but, try them all because it could work for you better than it works for me. Journaling, that's something that sometimes we got to outpour that information. And as I said, I do it and I have my ritual to say, okay, I'm done with this word. I'm done with this statement of labeling this word. I'm going to transmute it. I'm going to bring it in writing and I'm going to burn it and leave it to be healed. But, you can journal and you can actually, like I have journals too that I have written and I go back and I'm like, wow, I have grown so much, and it's great because you're just like, I can't believe that I used to get so worked up over something like that. And now I just can, bam, I just get rid of that feeling anytime I think about it, and I don't feel any constriction from certain things that used to bother me. And I know that it's because I have programmed my brain to have a different response. I've programmed my brain and not just my brain, my body, different response. I don't, I've overcome it and I've actually gotten to that whole spiritual sacred response, and it's life-changing. My needs and desires, physical body health, spiritual, family, career, friends and loved one, material possessions. These are all things that you would like to see unfold in your life. We all want these things, obviously. They relate very much to the comfort and the discomfort. So, these are all things that you can journal about and see your achievements too. It's important, we sometimes don't realize we're our own study, this is the study of life. And we're so busy, we got to get this kid's school paid for, or, we got to pay the bills. Oh my God, there's, a COVID exposure. There's so much going on. We got this project at work to do that we forget about our own study of life. And, when we are looking at that, the purposefulness is coming out. My daughter and I had a recent discussion. She's 24 years old. She's trying to get into medical school. She's studying for the GMAT, and she graduated from UMass Dartmouth, and she's scared, and it's like, she's like, what if I don't make it? What happens to my purpose in my life? And it's like, you get focused and fixated, but, I think that you always have to be shifting and looking at the greater purpose, like how, okay, well, if that happens, there's more purposeful things we can do. There might be a purpose for that happening. So journaling can really help you work through that and also identify the multiple purposes that we have in life. And it also brings like a less seriousness to those stressful situations if you kind of have those end goals and what we really find in humanity as important aspects of life. We all have heard those stories where if you talk to somebody that's on, the last chapter of their life and they're with it, and what really matters to them, spending time with their family. A lot of people say, I wish I spent more time with my family and not so much in my career. So there's these things that we can look at. Enlivening our health. Notice when emotions arise and identify your needs right away. This is important. Don't let it get beyond you. Start the process of the responses that you need to go through to reach that sacred response so that you can become, a healthy being in every way, shape, and form, emotionally healthy, sacred, spiritually healthy. All of these things are important to identify immediately. Review the steps of conscious communication. Make sure that you're looking at that list and programming those words into your vocabulary. Sometimes we get so caught up in the negative words that we start using them more and more frequently. Our brain, says, okay, I should go to that. Working with that vocabulary, writing the sentences in your journal, using the more higher conscious communication, and not using those negative words. Practice the 7 steps for emotional clearing. We went through that, and I can send out an outline on that as well. I don't think that was included. I put the dosha test in there, the pranayama breath work, and the 7 steps for stress management from Dr. Patel. But I can definitely give you the emotional clearing, and create a regular journaling practice, including your vision statements and your intentions. We all have something to contribute, everything from small to large. So, that's your dream book. That's your way to really put yourself in a space of that there's wonderful things that you can do. And that's the end of my presentation. Boy, it's 1:15. I used up my time. So
you did great. You did great.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That was awesome. And so we've got Candace already has her hand up. So if you are through, I think that if we could take a couple of questions, if you've got a minute or two, that would be awesome. Excellent. Candace, you could unmute yourself and you could ask. If you want to type it in the chat, I can ask it for you. That might be the easiest way to do it. While Candace is typing, are there any other questions anybody has? No questions. Leah, I think you covered quite a bit. I did. Yeah, you know me, right? I'm a holistic health practitioner myself. So I really, truly enjoy the holistic aspect of just really trying to balance mind, body, as well as spirit. And I think it is to pay attention and to really, just to really get to that place of inner peace and calm, as opposed to just making it look like you're peaceful or calm or, collected. Some people will appear that way and they'll be stressed on the inside, which it's not really on how you look on the outside. It really is how you feel on the inside. So I love the tools that you actually gave to us to be able to work at that. Candace, how are you doing? Are you able to type the question in?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing too that, you know, a lot of these things don't even cost money, like looking at your breath, looking at your words, and, you know, just really kind of monitoring that and how much of a shift it can happen. So I'm really excited I had you guys on today with me. And Candace, if you are having a problem with the technology, I get that. And you can always text me directly. I did put that into the chat. So, you know, if you guys have any questions, you can text me directly or contact us.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to see if she typed it in anywhere. I see the raised hand, but I don't see it in the chat yet. What I'll do is I will make sure that it looks like there's a couple more people on the call, and I will send out the attachments again, right? The handouts that you gave, as well as if you get me a picture. I think I did see that on your Facebook page. So if you want to send me the actual photo of you inside that tree in California, that would
I will do that.
I will send that along as well. And then Candace, I think you have my email address. If you want to send me the question, or I will include Leah's contact information as well that we could share. Leah, I think you put it in the chat, correct?
Yes, I did. Very beginning.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make sure everybody has it. So Candace, I want to make sure that your question does not go unanswered. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do now is, again, Leah, I really appreciate you being here, as well as Jay. I'm glad that you were on the call. So anybody that has not met my better half, there he is. And I would like to actually pull up, I'm going to share my screen again. And I think I have everybody on, and I'll actually pick a winner. So let me just do share screen. I'm going to share two. And then I'm going to go share. Can you guys see the wheel? You guys can't see the wheel? No, I see a no. Oh, you see it. Now you can see it. Okay, perfect. So here we go. Ready? Let's see what we got. Jill Bodnar. I think she's still on the call.
I'm here.
You are here. Excellent. All right, Jill. So did you actually put contact information in the chat?
Not yet. I'll do that.
Okay. Or I think I have your email address when you registered, so I could actually reach out to you, and you could either pick it up here on the campus, or I could meet you somewhere, buy you a coffee. So however,
okay, thanks.
Yeah, however you would want to do that, but it's a $25 gift card to Home Goods.
That's amazing. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Congratulations. Well, if no one else has any other questions, I just want to make sure everybody's good. All right, so I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to make sure that you guys have a great afternoon. Enjoy the day. See if you can get outside. I believe it is sunny out, even though it's a little bit cold. But go and enjoy the afternoon. And don't forget to save May 18th, Wednesday, 4:30 to 6:30 for Teenies on the Terrace if you are local. So it's a nice way to see the assisted living and network with your local colleagues. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. Otherwise, have yourself a great afternoon, everybody. Take care. And again, Leah and Jay, thank you very much.